You can make 90 grand a year and feel completely broke. And you can make the exact same 90 grand a year and feel absolutely untouchable. It's the exact same paycheck. But the difference comes down to one single number that almost nobody can actually name. Let's talk about two guys, Jace and Logan. They work the exact same job at the exact same company. They both make a $90,000 salary that hits their checking accounts on the exact same Friday. On paper, you couldn't tell these two apart. Then, both of their cars break down during the exact same week. They take them to the same auto shop and they both get hit with a $1,400 repair bill. Jace pulls out his card, taps it, goes back to scrolling on his phone and doesn't even flinch. Logan, on the other hand, reads the estimate 3 times. He feels his stomach drop to the floor. He immediately opens his banking app to figure out which credit card payment he can push to next month just to keep his head above water. Same income, same bill, two completely different realities. And what separates Jace from Logan isn't discipline, it isn't luck, and it is definitely not their salary. It's a number neither of them talks about at the water cooler: net worth. There are 3 very specific points on the net worth number line where life quietly stops feeling like a treadmill and starts feeling like something else entirely. If you've ever felt like you're working incredibly hard but somehow standing completely still, hit that like button, because today we're mapping out the 3 net worth levels where your entire experience of money changes. And I'm going to warn you right now, the 3rd level does something to people that almost nobody sees coming. Plenty of folks reach it and are still absolutely miserable, and the research finally explains why. We'll get there, but the 1st level is probably closer than you think. Let's start at the bottom: the bucket versus the water. Here is the framing that makes all of this click. In our society, we obsess over income. How much do you make? What's the salary? Did you get a raise? But income is just water flowing through your hands. Net worth is what is actually left in the bucket after the water flows through. And it turns out this bucket has 3 distinct lines painted on the inside, 3 levels where, once you cross them, the water starts behaving completely differently. Jace had crossed the 1st line. Logan hadn't. That is the entire story of the car repair. Level 1. $100,000. Escape velocity. I know for some of you watching, that number feels impossibly far away. And for others, it feels almost insultingly small. But stay with me, because this is the single most important threshold in this entire video, and the math is genuinely beautiful. Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's late business partner, and a man worth billions, was once asked about building wealth. His answer is legendary. He said, and I'm paraphrasing slightly for YouTube, "The first $100,000 is a pain, but you have to do it. I don't care what you have to do, find a way to get your hands on $100,000. After that, you can ease off the gas a little bit." Why would a billionaire fixate on a number that to him was literally a rounding error? Because the first $100,000 is the only stretch of your entire financial journey where you do basically all of the work. Let me show you. Say you're saving and investing $10,000 a year and earning a 7% historical return in the market. Getting from 0 to your first $100,000 takes you roughly 7, almost 8 years. During those years, the market is barely helping you. Almost every single dollar in that account is a dollar you personally went to work for, earned, saved, and aggressively refused to spend. It's a massive slog. It feels slow because it is slow. But watch what happens next. Going from $100,000 to $200,000 doesn't take another 8 years. It takes about 5. From $200K to $300K, under 4 years. And here's the part that should make you sit up in your chair. Going from $500,000 to a full million takes about the same amount of time it took you to scrape together that very first 100 grand. Except now, you are generating 10 times the wealth in the exact same window of time, with the exact same effort. Why? Because somewhere around that $100,000 mark, your money quietly clocked in for its very first day of work. At $100,000 invested at 7%, your portfolio throws off about $7,000 a year all on its own. That's nearly a maxed out IRA contribution earned by your money while you were asleep. You pushed a snowball to the top of the hill, and now it's rolling down the other side. But the real magic of $100,000 isn't the math. It's what it does to your brain. There's a famous study where researchers set up shop in a New Jersey mall. They asked shoppers to imagine a car repair, exactly the situation Jason Logan walked through. For half the people, the repair cost $150. For the other half, $1,500. Then they had everyone take a standard cognitive test to measure problem-solving skills.
For the wealthier shoppers, there was no difference in test scores. But the lower-income shoppers who had to imagine the $1,500 repair scored dramatically worse, like a full standard deviation lower. Same people, same brains. The only thing that changed was that they spent 30 seconds worrying about money they didn't have. The researchers said the effect on their brain power was comparable to losing a full night of sleep. Picture going through your entire life, every decision, every conversation at work, every moment with your kids, permanently sleep-deprived. Not because you're physically tired, but because a massive chunk of your brain's processing power is constantly running background calculations on how to survive an emergency. That's Logan in the parking lot. $100,000 buys you out of that background static. It buys you quiet. That is level 1. Level 2. $500,000 to $1 million. Money gets a job. Okay, so you've hit escape velocity. The financial static in your head is gone. Now what? Now you enter the strangest, most psychologically interesting stretch of the whole journey, level 2. $500,000 to $1 million. And the reason it's strange is that for the first time in your life, the most productive worker in your household might not be a human being. Let's go back to the math. At $500,000 invested, a 7% return generates around $35,000 a year. Sit with that for a second. 35 grand, the peering annually, produced by nothing but money you already had. For context, that is roughly what a typical American earns from working a full-time, 40-hour-week job. Your portfolio's now pulling in a respectable second income. And your portfolio doesn't call in sick, it doesn't ask for a raise, it doesn't complain about Mondays. At a full $1 million, that same 7% throws off about $70,000 a year. Your money is now out-earning the median full-time U.S. salary, and it's doing it while you watch Netflix. This is the level where the phrase work optional stops being a fantasy you see in some guru's Facebook ad and starts being a reality you can actually see on the horizon. Here's how level 2 feels in real life. It's the meeting where your boss says something genuinely unreasonable, and instead of swallowing your pride and just taking it, you realize calmly that you could walk away. You probably won't quit today, but you could. That single internal shift rewires how you negotiate, what you tolerate, and how much of your self-respect you are willing to trade for a paycheck. It shows up in smaller ways, too. It's booking the direct flight instead of the one with 2 layovers just to save $60. It's your dishwasher breaking, and the entire crisis lasting exactly 4 minutes while you Google a replacement and hit buy. None of these are insane luxuries. They're just friction being quietly removed from your life. But I need to give you a real talk warning here. There's a trap hiding inside level 2. The trap is called lifestyle inflation, and it is the silent assassin of wealth. Every time your income goes up, there's a massive gravitational pull to let your spending drift right behind it. Psychologists call this the hedonic treadmill. You get the raise, you buy the nicer car. But within a year, the nicer car just feels like your car. The thrill evaporates completely, but that $800 monthly payment, that stays. So you upgrade again, constantly chasing a high that resets to 0. This is exactly how people pulling in $300,000 a year still end up broke. Their money never gets the chance to take a second job because every single dollar gets drafted into paying for a bigger mortgage, a leased Range Rover, and a lifestyle that quietly eats their future to feed their present. Level 1 subtracted the fear of an emergency. Level 2 subtracts the fear of being trapped by a single employer. Keep that pattern in mind because Level 3 removes the biggest fear of all. Level 3. $2.5 million to $5 million. Buying back time. Level 3 is $2.5 million to $5 million. There's a great scene in a movie called The Gambler. John Goodman's character lays out his entire philosophy on money. He says the goal isn't just to be rich, the goal is to hit a specific number, put it somewhere safe, and reach what he crudely calls FU money. A position where no person, no boss, and no bank can ever make you do anything you don't want to do. His magic number in the movie was $2.5 million. And what's wild is that the screenwriter didn't just make that up. It is mathematically perfect, based on the famous 4% rule. The 4% rule says you can safely withdraw 4% of your invested portfolio every year without ever running out of money. The shortcut for this is multiplying your annual expenses by 25. If your life costs $40,000 a year, your number is $1 million. If you spend $80,000, it's $2 million. And if you want to live a six-figure, $100,000 a year lifestyle without ever working another day in your life, you need $2.5 million. John Goodman's number. Push it to $5 million, and you can support a $200,000 lifestyle off the returns alone. You are now in the top 4% of all U.S. households. But I'll be honest with you, this is the level I see people get wrong the most. Because the math finally works, they assume the happiness will just show up automatically. They think level 3 is about the mansion, the boat, and the Rolex. It's not. For years, a famous study claimed that happiness flatlines once you hit about $100,000 a year. But recently, a researcher named Matthew Killingsworth tracked real-time mood reports from thousands of people and found the opposite. Happiness kept rising right along with net worth, with no ceiling in sight. So who was right? They actually got in a room together and figured it out. And the answer is the most useful idea in this whole video. For the 80% of people who are already reasonably content with their lives, more money really does keep buying more happiness. But for the unhappy 20%, money relieves their suffering up to about $100,000, and then it stops. Because their unhappiness was never about money in the first place. No amount of net worth can buy your way out of a problem that money didn't cause. The people who reach level 3 and stay miserable are the ones who thought the number itself was the destination. The people who get here and finally feel free use the money to buy the only non-renewable resource that matters: control over their own time. Waking up without an alarm, saying yes to the people they love and no to the work they hate. Level 3 isn't about buying a Ferrari, it's about buying back the actual hours of your life from anyone who used to own them. Conclusion: the next step. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, I'm not even at level 1 yet, this is super depressing, stop. I need you to hear this clearly. The fact that these levels are rare isn't a reason to feel behind. It is the entire reason they are worth chasing. The bar to completely change how your life feels isn't infinite wealth. It's just a cushion, then a choice, then your time back. And remember, the hardest, slowest, most thankless part of this entire journey is the climb to that first 100 grand. Almost everyone who quits right there in the slog, right before the snowball crests the hill. If you can just outlast the boring part, the math eventually stops working against you and starts working for you. You don't have to be a genius, you just have to be stubborn. Income is the speed of the water. Net worth is the size of the bucket. 10 years from now, your money is either going to be quietly working for you, or you are going to be working around the lack of it. Pick your level, not the fantasy one, the next one, the one that is actually within reach from wherever you're standing today. put your head down, automate your investments, and go get it. If this video changed how you look at the number in your bank account, drop a comment below and let me know which level you are climbing toward right now. I read every single one of them. Hit subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one.